Hey everybody, this is Christine DeGraff with TNT Bootcamp. We are here today to talk to David Kutcher, and we're going to talk about Blogger. I don't think a lot of people have even considered Blogger as a serious platform for designing their website or for putting their small business, medium-sized business on. So we're going to learn today, what the possibilities are, why you might want to choose it, and how you can make that decision. But first, I want to talk to my co-host, the lovely Ronnie Binzer. Hey, Ronnie.
The lovely. I remember that from before.
Yeah, you're now my new lovely.
Thank you. Glad to be here, and thanks everybody for watching us. We're going to have a great conversation. I really do want to learn more about bloggers, just so I can see how's it compare to WordPress, for example. And I'm sure there'll be other topics that we'll be talking about. So I'm looking forward to it.
And are you freezing to death as well in Denver? I am freezing in New Jersey.
We just have, right now, we're still getting snow, and we've got about 8 to 9 inches overnight. So now that's nothing compared to the East Coast, which is in the feet. But
no, there's no snow here.
All right, well, Boston area. Boston area.
10 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, David could tell us about snow. First, let me introduce David Kutcher from Confluent Forms, and David is a web developer. He is a top contributor for Blogger, and he's going to talk to us today about how he's using Blogger. But let's talk about the weather first, David.
I think last night it was minus 25 with wind chill, and yeah, it's quite something out here.
Nice. Well, hopefully we'll all have spring soon.
That'd be nice. And especially the thaw that comes with it. Yes, it's going to be lovely.
Yes. Well, tell us about your business and about yourself.
Sure. So I'm the co-owner of Confluent Forms. We're a web design, web development company. We've been in business since 2002, way back in the day, and actually still to this day, we've been building custom content management systems, custom websites, back office systems. We do everything from the branding to the print work to the websites and online presence management for companies.
That sounds great.
Try to keep that a little to the point. So yes, we've had a lot of great clients. Everything from Amherst College and a bunch of universities to large nonprofits to Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. So we have a really interesting array of clientele we worked with since 2002.
I imagine during that time you've probably had a mix of different systems that you used to build those sites.
Oh goodness. Well, up until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, almost all of the systems we built were custom. So basically PHP, MySQL-based, custom database-driven sites. And then I think around 6 years ago, all these CMSs became, open source CMSs became a more mature. I think you had Drupal and Joomla and WordPress kind of come out in the last 6 or 7 years and become CMSs that you really could use to do more complex projects. Back in the day, it was almost as much work, if not more work, to use them because of how much customization you had. And the plugins have come along to the point where now so many people just do plug-and-play websites.
Yeah, when I was doing web development for all those years, I also went down the custom route, and because it was before WordPress, and I think that as far as Blogger, now I do WordPress sites as well, and Drupal. I've done some of that, Silver Stripe. I've never actually considered Blogger. I mean, actually, I have my personal website on Blogger just for a blog, but I never really considered Blogger. And actually never even realized how much it could be customized until I saw some of your examples. So.
Yeah, that's our examples seem to open lots of people's eyes. It was kind of an odd thing that led us down that direction, and we don't use it for all of our sites. We still have client projects that we do even to this day that are on WordPress or Drupal or Joomla and custom CMSs. It really comes down to what's the right fit for the project and what's needed and what's unnecessary. And then it becomes a balancing act of, for the client and for that specific project and for their near-term and foreseeable future requirements, what's the best fit? And it led us to Blogger because we realized so many websites out there don't really have much in terms of tech needs. They need, a 10 to 20 page website. They need a blog. They need a slideshow. They need a contact form. And when you start listing out the basic requirements that most sites have, especially most small businesses, WordPress becomes such an overkill. And not only a technology overkill, but it becomes an administrative nightmare potentially for companies, especially when they don't have someone on hand or on staff that can manage the security updates that happen almost every other week now, managing the plugins, managing all these other things that go with a WordPress installation, and they just want their website to work and not have to worry about it. And that's kind of where we ended up with Blogger, that we realized, well, if we can make it fit all these requirements, it's such a great solution. So that was our thought process.
I actually want to screen share really quick and take a look at some of these photos of these websites that you've done. Let's see.
Yeah, they're impressive looking. For someone that didn't think that you could do it, I'm very impressed. So.
Well, everyone's always used to Blogger sites looking like Blogger sites, and they don't need to at all. And I'm lucky to have a very talented designer that I've been partnering with since 1999. That he'll come up and dream up the most incredible designs and just hand them to me and be like, "Can you do this?" And we'll just we'll figure out a way to make it work. And we've had a great relationship along those those lines for so long. So every time we do a new site, he basically throws some new functionality at me, and it's a challenge for us to make it work. But we have fun with it, and I guess that's one of the things that none of our sites have become really formulaic, because we don't just take a theme and try to make it work. We actually build all these things from the bottom up to be completely unique for every situation, for every client.
And let's just go through them real quick. So this is the painted pin. Can you want to tell us, this is a splash page, obviously?
That's the splash page, and we can pull up the URL. It's thepaintedpin.com, and it is a high-end gaming establishment down in down in Atlanta that hopefully I'll get to go visit soon. Everything from the branding on down, really focused on the typography and the way that the fonts work, the imagery, and yeah, this is all in Blogger. It is fully responsive. The contact form on the contact page uses Google Drive, so it's actually you can pull out the HTML out of a Google Drive form and integrate it fully into the website, so it doesn't look like you're just on a Google Drive page. It actually becomes part of the website. You'll see Google Maps is integrated into there. It's integrated with Google Analytics, so there's all kinds of goal and event tracking built into there for our clients as well. Because it's built on Blogger, it has additional tie-ins to Google+. So whenever they post on the blog part of this site, it automatically shares to their Google+ page as well. So there's those nice synergies between different Google products. Yeah, it's once you realize that you can put your entire site into the Google sphere of influence, the site is actually hosted on Google's content distribution network, so it loads really, really fast. It's got some advantages to it.
All right, now let's take a look at One Midtown Kitchen.
One Midtown Kitchen. This was a fun one to do. Just that whole scrolling top part where the bottom part stays still until you scroll past it, and then it scrolls with you, and then there's mouse overs on different ones that take you to different pages. Creating that whole custom homepage, not theme, but it breaks out of the normal look and feel that you're used to. And then again, this one's fully responsive as well. Taking advantage of all that.
And for those who don't understand responsive means that when you resize your screen or view it on a different device, a mobile device, then the content is going to adjust to that screen.
Exactly. So that whether you're pulling up the restaurant on your cell phone or on your tablet, on your desktop, that at no point is it going to break and look awful. It's actually basically resizing it down to be an optimal experience no matter what device you're on. Um, and yeah, and we think about that especially for the restaurants. I've put out blog posts talking about that specifically, mainly because you have something like 55% of all visitors to some of these restaurants are all on mobile phones. So you have to make a very mobile phone friendly website, especially for things like restaurants. And that's why all the restaurants that we're doing now have been responsive and are very, in some cases, are becoming more and more mobile first strategies. Like I said, 55% of the visitors are coming on a cell phone, add in tablets, and you're up to 65%. So 2/3 of all visitors are on small devices. So you have to make a mobile first look and feel. This one, unfortunately, is not responsive, mainly because I think we did it about 3.5, maybe 4 years ago now. But it's such a fun website. Artcraft website. It's a taxidermy rental site out in Hollywood, California. And those albums are being fed from Picasso, which is also now Google Plus Photos, and dynamically generated. So he goes in there and uploads new photos when he has them, and it just creates that whole slideshow dynamically.
That's very, very nice, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, your work is I'm very impressed with your work, for sure.
Thank you.
And more impressed with the fact that you were able to do it on Blogger, honestly.
It's like a double bonus, yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask a couple of the questions that I'm seeing floating around here. Because we're comparing some of this to WordPress, and WordPress utilizes plugins so heavily, the question that's coming up is, are there a set of plugins, or are there such a thing that plugins that tie into Blogger that do similar things, or is this something that would have to be done more custom-wise?
There are plugins that have been developed for Blogger, and there are people that write plugins. But more often than not, it's different because you have full access to the template. So if you're a programmer, you can go in there and add in whatever jQuery and JavaScript that you would like directly into the template yourself. So it's different if you're doing a plug and play, if you're a plug and play kind of person, but most of the common requirements that you would have are already built for you. So yes, there are add-ons that are pretty widely available, and some that are created by Google themselves.
Is the term add-on instead of plugin?
I just used add-on instead of plugin. That was, yeah. It's called widgets in Blogger, but it's really the same as a plugin on WordPress.
So one of the hassles with plugins with WordPress is trying to keep that synchronized properly. When WordPress has an update, then the plugin doesn't work like it used to, or you have to make sure you get not only WordPress updated but also the plugin updated. And which one do you do first, in what order? Sometimes that can cause things to break. Yes,
it can. It's not the same in Blogger at all, mainly because most of those plugins are using data in a different way than, it's not necessarily tied in as deeply. So you're not going in and making a change to your database, for example. You're pulling it from a separate data repository, or you're pulling things through JSON and using JavaScript purely.
All right, Christine, you want to read that comment you got?
Yep. Hey, Roxanne. Roxanne wants to know how or where do you find the designs? Is it another area in the templates choice? Now, I know you're doing custom designs, but...
So a lot of sites that sell themes for WordPress also have themes that the developer has created for Blogger as well. So like Theme Forest, I believe, still has Blogger templates. B Templates has Blogger templates, and there's lots of companies and people out there that make Blogger templates. It's different in the sense that whereas themes on WordPress can get really convoluted and detrimental to your site, themes on Blogger are really front-end only. So they don't really affect your speed in the same way. There's no heavy database calls. That doesn't really affect Blogger sites. It's more how convoluted is the markup code.
We've got more questions here. Ammon Johns asks, for a long time, Blogger became almost synonymous with spam blogs created en masse due to minimal costs. Have you found this negative association a problem in any way?
I found the association problematic in terms of when I mention Blogger to a potential client and that the site will be built on Blogger, there is that association there. So it's kind of a hump that people have to get over. But then they see the sites that we've built on Blogger, and it quickly alleviates that concern. But then again, once you've seen our sites on Blogger, you don't see any of the Blogger markings of, there's no branding that would say this is a site on Blogger. So unless it was pointed out to you, you would assume it was built on any other platform that you can possibly name. That's kind of the funny thing about it is once you put a favicon that's not Blogger and you put on a custom domain and your site doesn't look like a Blogger site, suddenly it becomes meaningless, that whole concern over what platform it's actually built on.
That's dealing with some of the negatives. What are some of the positives that you would say with Blogger as far as like expenses or costs to maintain and things like that? I'm just throwing out some softballs for you. So.
Oh no, go for it. So I have one client that's on Blogger, a car website, a car blog that gets millions of sessions a month, millions, who pays nothing in hosting. So if you did the math on how much traffic he's generating, and he's earning revenue because he has AdSense on there, his site would cost at least $1,000 a month in hosting costs, just in hosting costs. And here he's paying nothing for hosting. So talk about return on investment in terms of free hosting. I mean, it's spectacular what he gets. And his site loads faster than his competitors because it's hosted on Google's content distribution network. So he gets some of the fastest hosting in the world for free on a platform that has had almost 0% downtime over the last 3 years. It's amazing that more people don't take advantage of that.
We've got some more comments here. Rob Jacobson was looking at your sites, and he says, yes, the site speed is very fast. It blows a standard web hosting company out of the water.
That's the funny thing about most sites that use WordPress is that WordPress can be a complete resource hog, in terms of database calls and everything else like that. Couple that with themes that are created on the cheap, and then you put them onto a shared hosting provider for $10 a month. And it's amazing that so many WordPress websites even load at all based on how you're starving these bloated CMS hogs on a cheapest hosting provider you can possibly find. At the same time, here you have a site that's on Google's own content distribution network, with built-in caching and everything else like that. And yeah, you get a really fast website. And like I said, you can make it look whatever you want it to look like. So you have that advantage.
We have a good question here from Farinaz Parsi. She says, is it true that being with Blogger, you will not have enough exposure on the web? And I think she's talking about SEO.
So I think it was about 2, maybe 3 years ago, there were a lot of common SEO functionalities that were not built into Blogger. So for example, you could not set page or blog post level meta descriptions for each of your blog posts, but that's been added in. You didn't have as much variance in how you could structure your title tags, but I've posted tutorials on how to fix that problem. All the SEO advantages in terms of that structured markup and those search descriptions and everything else like that have gone the way of the dodo about 3, maybe 4 years ago now. So all of those advantages that you have and that most people do with an additional plugin on their WordPress installation using, SEO Yoast and all these SEO plugins that actually are just more resource hogs, you can now do in Blogger as well. So that advantage to WordPress kind of went away. And in fact, I would actually almost put it in the, more in the camp of Blogger now in terms of an advantage. Plus, because it's on Google and it's hosted faster, you don't think that there's going to be an advantage there? I mean, if I post content on any of these Blogger sites, they're indexed almost immediately. So all new content gets indexed immediately because it's on that network.
Another good question from Ben Fisher. As far as dev time, if you did the same design in WordPress, how much time are you saving, or are you spending more time? Because some of these examples that you've shown us, they could definitely be on WordPress. It could be one, they would work for WordPress as well. So why did you choose Blogger for these 3 examples we've looked at, and do you feel like it saved you any time or resources?
We've gotten so fast at doing sites on Blogger that we find it actually takes less time to do it on Blogger than it does on WordPress. And I'm not going to say how much time because I don't want to get into a bidding war against myself. But it's become noticeable that we can do these sites, no matter how complex they are, so much faster than WordPress. Mainly because I feel like there's so much less we have to worry about in terms of between plugins and everything else like that. That it just, we have a lot more flexibility, which is really strange because you wouldn't think that, especially if you tried to deep dive into the code. But once you get it down, it's a lot faster.
So Ivana, can you highlight this, Christine?
Yep.
Ivana Taylor's asking, can we say something about e-commerce? She loves the comments on free hosting and speed, which curious about the e-commerce capability.
That is one of those things that unfortunately is not part of Blogger. And even with WordPress, with both Blogger and WordPress, I try to caution people out of using e-commerce on WordPress, and there's no really good shopping cart and management functionality in Blogger for doing e-commerce. If you're going to do serious e-commerce, unless you have a dedicated staff, I push people to sites like Shopify or Magento's hosted platform instead, where you have real inventory control and all the functionality that you need in order to have a thriving e-commerce site. And I'm sorry, but self-hosting WordPress e-commerce, especially if you're a small company and don't have someone dedicated on site, it's such a danger in terms of if you get hacked and your credit card data and everything else that goes with it, I'd be scared for you as a small business. So even with small businesses, I kind of caution people against self-hosting WordPress e-commerce sites unless you really have someone dedicated who's overseeing your security, who knows the ins and outs of e-commerce.
Right, but
I'm saying this as we've built e-commerce sites and we continue to. I mean, we have one of our clients, I think it's up to 42 or 45 Broadway musicals. Their merchandising sites were built by us and are on a custom platform, and we host their e-commerce. I take e-commerce very seriously because of the security involved in it, and I distrust WordPress with WooCommerce and without having someone on hand to really be locking down your site security.
Even if it's just a couple products and that's it, versus a larger number of items?
If you're processing credit card information on your site, doesn't matter if it's 3 products or 500 products. If you get hacked, you're,
Okay.
Yeah. Liability-wise, that scares me.
All right, we've got questions coming in faster than we're gonna be able to get to them. So let's just try to go through as many as we can. Denise James wants to know, she heard Blogger is only for personal use, not to make money online. Is this true?
No, it's not. In fact, when you register a site on Blogger, you can sign up for an AdSense account right through Blogger. They want you to advertise and do AdSense on your site.
And then we've got Nicholas Cardo. Does Blogger support anything that is equivalent to WordPress's custom post types?
No, it does not out of the box by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, you can change things within Blogger to make it get somewhere equivalent. And if you're looking at that custom post types in the sense of from micro formatting and markup, you can embed that directly into your HTML when you post to it. So for example, if you're posting a recipe on your site, there's a number of sites that you can do upmarking for recipes to make them more search engine friendly from that standpoint, and you can integrate them into and post the HTML into your post directly. Or you can go into the template and you can actually create those types of post types if you want to and work your way around it.
So I know this is a question that Karen's asking here, but many have asked it, the idea of putting all your eggs in one basket or not putting something that's not on your own land and things like that. So the idea that Google owns this, and I'll just throw in another part to it. We just saw recently, because right now we're doing this broadcast live in, what is this, February of 2015, and Helpouts, which is a Hangout-related kind of thing that Google just announced they're going to be shutting it down. This is the concern when people start to utilize something, especially in the realm when it's free,
Yep.
and they're wondering how long, what's the longevity of that, and how's that tie in? So give us your feedback on that, please.
All right. So, and I'm going to try not to compare Helpouts, which was around for a year, with Blogger, which was acquired by Google 12 years ago. You know, there's a much bigger difference in longevity there. Blogger as a service has been around in Google's sphere of influence for 12 years. It makes a lot of money for Google. You know, all of those sites on Blogger that host advertising make money for Google, which is, I think, one of the biggest differentiators.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So I know there's different level. There's a whole bunch of different reasons for people being afraid of using Google. So I'm trying to tackle a bunch of them if I can, and if I miss a few, go for it. So in terms of Google's desire to shut down Blogger, you know, they're going to be losing a lot of revenue. In addition to that, there are millions of sites on Blogger. When they've made changes to sites or systems that are this big, they've given a long sunset to that. So let's say, God forbid, they decide to shut it down today. Not shut it down, but say, we're going to close it down. They sunset for 3 to 5 years on their products. And I'm sorry, but in most cases, 3 to 5 years is longer than any website, a modern website, should be around without being redesigned, at which point you have plenty of time to go to Google Takeout, get all of your content, import it wherever you want, and move it, and you'll keep your search engine optimization and everything else like that because you'll be able to transfer all your links over. So you'll be able to do 301s. I don't think you're going to lose anything from that standpoint. So you can always make that move. In addition, if for 3 years you're getting free hosting and all the benefits that go with it, I think it more than pays for itself in the cost than in 3 years to have to migrate it. One of the other fears that people have is that your site is going to get taken down because you've made the Google gods upset. The terms of service for Blogger are the same terms of service that you're likely going to find on most hosting providers that you would go out to host your WordPress website on. So, you know, no porn, no spam, no, you know, what have you. And those are the same terms of service that you're going to find on Blogger. So chances are if you're going to piss off Blogger and get taken down, you'd also be taken down from your hosting provider no matter where you were. Let's see, did I miss any? I'm trying to Think of all the reasons why people are afraid of setting up shop.
That's good. I think one of the biggest things is to realize because it's making money for Google, there's a much better chance that it's not going to go away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like that car site that I was telling you about, when he gets millions of sessions a month, I'm thinking about how much ad revenue he generates for himself and then multiplying that to figure out how much ad revenue he's generating for Google. I mean, he's more than paying for himself. And, he's, like I said, he's generating money for Google. They're not going to cut that off. Why would they? I mean, right now, all it's costing them is bandwidth. It's bandwidth getting money for bandwidth. That seems like a good case for keeping it around.
Ivana wants to know what's the SEO impact of switching from a self-hosted platform to bloggers hosting platform. What do you lose by switching? And also Susan Davis Cushing says that she's been told that she has to stay with WordPress to be taken seriously. She needs to decide where to put a new blog today. So please confirm again about the SEO optimization. And one more, Nicholas again, he wants to know if Blogger has multilingual support and the ability to add appropriate language and canonical meta tags.
Wow. Okay. So let's
boom. Go.
Let's go back. So canonical, you can put in rel canonical into anything. That's fine. But Google does not have multilingual support, or Blogger, sorry, does not have multilingual support. It allows you to natively put in the Google Translate stuff. There's a Google Translate widget that you can plug in. That is their version of their own plugin. But no, you cannot do multilingual, a French version of a page to an English version and say this is rel canonical. It's not in it. Second one, let's go. I'm going to go in reverse order. Yes, I'm sure that she was told that in order to be taken seriously, she needs to have a blog on WordPress, and that was probably a WordPress developer telling her that. I don't believe it. So it's, your system aside, Google doesn't care what platform you're on. It doesn't make a difference to them what platform you're on. If you're using Drupal, are you going to tell me that WordPress has an advantage over Drupal or Joomla just because it's WordPress? It's your content, and it's how you're formatting your content, and it's your markup, and it's all those other things that matter so much more than whether you have your theme under a /wp-whatever-theme directory. The CMS doesn't make a difference at the end of the day. What matters is your content and everything else, how you're networking that content, getting backlinks, all those things. Search engine optimization, that's what matters, not what platform you're on. And like I said in the beginning, if your website, if all things being equal and your website is loading faster on Blogger than it is on your WordPress website, that's also a factor in search engine optimization. So if your WordPress website is running 30%, 40% slower than the same website on Blogger, advantage goes to Blogger. The previous question, so if you were to move from self-hosted WordPress to Blogger, problem is that you can do it, but you're also going to want to 301 redirect all of your URLs in order so that you don't lose whatever search engine karma and backlinks that you've gotten to those existing ones. You can do it. It's time consuming, so if you have a blog that has 1,000 posts on it, I don't recommend it because it's going to take you a long time to set up all those 301 redirects. That being said, you can do it. It just won't be pretty or easy. Huh. Okay, I think I got
Good job. All right, we have a lot more, and we only have about 4 more minutes, so you're going to have to go back through the comments. But I do want to get this one by Bob. He wants to know, curious about implementing changes to themes and creating a customized child theme. Is it similar to WordPress in that extent?
No, not at all. So basically, once you take a theme, the theme in Blogger is essentially one XML document. One. That's it. So essentially, once you take that theme and install it on your website, you can do whatever that you want to that theme because it's your one theme. So there's no need for parent and child themes in Blogger. It's you're editing one XML document and that's it. Bob Danley, is some of this DIY and somewhat easy? It depends on what level of customization that you want. Some of it's really easy. Some of it you can go in and do some simple CSS markup to make changes. Some of it, it really depends on how far you want to push the envelope and how much tech know-how that you have. So, it really is a matter of how much you are able to do on your own.
Okay, so if someone is taking a look at some of the sites that you've built, and if they could do that themselves on WordPress, what's the learning curve for them to be able to do it on Blogger?
It would take them learning the markup language, the Blogger template markup language, which is, to be honest, pretty rudimentary. It's not that difficult. You could literally, and this is the way I taught myself. I grabbed a template that was for Blogger, one of their standard templates, and I just reverse engineered it, and kept on reverse engineering it, and started messing with it. And that's how I learned PHP and MySQL back in the day. You have to be a little bit DIY MacGyver-ish. And then now, thankfully, with this thing called Google, you can find tutorials everywhere. So there's lots of data out there for how to do it. And there are a lot of template people out there that are really kind of pushing the boundaries. I have a website, Blog Expertise, where I kind of put out my own tutorials. I found some undocumented variables and I put them up there for anyone to see. So I look at it as, you have to dive into it and want to learn how to do it, just like any other template structure. You have to just want to get in there and want to figure out how to do it. And yeah, beyond that, it really comes down to how quickly you're able to learn these things.
So can you give a little advice for someone who is trying to decide WordPress or Blogger or Drupal or Silverstripe, or what is there a checklist? What should they do to start trying to make a decision what to use?
I would take a hard look at exactly cost benefit analysis of what it is that you actually need in your website versus what are these added features that you'll never use. And then what's involved in you having the website that you want, that you're going to use, and what makes the most sense for you. I think too many people get caught up in the dogmatic decision. I keep on saying dogmatic decision because that's what it is. WordPress is the best, and no, it's not the best. It's just a CMS. It's just another tool. Find the right tool for the right job, and that's what it really has to come down to. In fact, WordPress might not be the best, nor Blogger. It might be Drupal. Drupal might be the best thing for your situation. Shopify or Wix might be the best. Where
I can't imagine any case where Wix would be the best situation. So let's just scratch that off right there.
Well, for what, $5 or $10 a month? You drag 5 boxes, you upload a picture, and $10 a month you have a website. That might be the best for a locksmith in small town America. That might be the best solution. And
I think I'd rather die than a website.
And me too. But I tell people, whatever gets you online, making money with your business and doing what you need to do as effectively as possible is the right decision for you. And if it's WordPress, great. If it's Blogger, great. If it happens to be Wix, God forbid, okay. I'd rather someone spend $5 a month or $10 a month on Wix and get the site that works perfectly for them than then drop 10 grand on a WordPress website that just is 10 grand and not getting them any more or less business than the Wix one did.
Fair enough. Ronnie, have any other questions? Ronnie, what do you use for your website?
I'm using WordPress. And when I do sales and things, we use third-party tools to actually process the credit card payment. So we're not the actual ones processing credit cards. We don't have the names and the numbers and all that stuff. So I was just noticing in the comments there's a fair amount of discussion about that as well. Some people are doing customized cart type solutions where they are actually holding that information, but I think the majority are probably utilizing third-party tools that integrate with their WordPress site or whatever site they're doing for their e-commerce. But I guess my summary question or point would be, David, there are so many questions. I would love it if you're able to go and spend a little bit of the time trying to address some of them in the comments.
Yeah, because we are out of time.
I'm scrolling down right now and going, wow.
It's incredible. It's amazing. I just wanted to shout out a couple people really quick and show David some love here. Kristen is here. She says, love the new reversible bow tie. And Craig Burton, yes, your bow tie looks nice today.
Thank you, Craig.
And Nicholas, he wanted to put a disclaimer. As a WordPress developer, he despises the limitations of Blogger. Having said that, he has never met a developer that pushes the boundaries and creates amazing sites on Blogger the way that David does. Crazy amount of respect. And I definitely agree with that.
And hey, you know what? Every system is going to have advantages and disadvantages, and limitations and no limitations. You know, and it's great to have that multifaceted tool that can do anything and everything, but that's not what everyone needs. And really, you know, like I said earlier, what it boils down to is finding the right tool for the right job, and no more sometimes. You know, and sometimes if you bite off and try to go for this tool that has all these options, it's going to get in the way of actually you doing what you need it to do. And in some cases, that's simply make money and have your company website up there. You know, if it gets in the way of that, then it wasn't an advantage, it was a disadvantage. You know, whatever helps you get a professional-looking website up there that's helping your business or, you know, being your great blog, you know, that's the important thing.
Okay, what are your final parting words? How can people reach you? And that's about it.
Sure. So I think my contact information is right there. And, you know, hopefully people will reach out. Like I said, or like you introduced me in the beginning, I'm a TC for Blogger. If you need any help, reach out. There's a number of communities on Google+. You can go to the product forum. You can get help. Blog Expertise, blogxpertise.com. It's my site that's just Blogger tutorials. And yeah, poke around the site, see what you think, and if you're interested and want to, I mean, you can hire us, or you can just jump in and start playing around and see what you can do. There's a lot of things there. Yeah, have fun.
Terrific.
Thanks for being with us, David.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, and bye, everybody. We'll see you next month.